And we are live. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Minecraft Ed AfterChat, the place where we come to hang out with our hosts of the evening and talk a little bit about the highlights of tonight's Minecraft Ed chat. If you guys are new to this, Minecraft Ed is hashtag Minecraft Ed. Minecraft Ed is a Twitter chat that is educationally based and very focused on helping educators learn about and get comfortable, and all of us get an opportunity to collaboratively discuss opportunities for use of Minecraft in education. So each and every week we have a brand new topic, and this week's topic was actually talking about linking the real and the virtual world and global collaboration. So we've got two fantastic guests with us tonight. We also have Mark Grundell, who's our co-founder of Minecraft Ed Chat, joining us today, and we have Paul Greenberg. Correct me if I'm
Greenberg,
incorrect on
that's
any
fine.
of this. Perfect. And we have Garrett Spicer joining us as well. So love the name, Garrett. Fantastic job on the name. I'm going to pass it over to Paul. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and then Garrett will get you to introduce yourself. Tell us what you like about Minecraft, what you like about Minecraft and its fit into the educational environment, and then we'll go right to Mark, and he can introduce himself and then ask us on the first question.
Okay, great. Thank you, Garrett. So I'm Paul Greenberg. I'm the CEO of Creatubbles, which is a global social online platform for children, teachers, and parents around the world, focused on artwork and creativity. And I guess what brought us to you is that we recently developed a mod. Sorry for a little bit of noise in the background there, but we just developed a mod which allows children and other users to automatically save screenshots of things they've made in Minecraft to the Creatubbles profile. And while we were at it, just for fun, we added an additional aspect to it, which allows you to take real artwork and creations that you've uploaded to Creatubbles and display them in Minecraft, in the virtual world. So just enjoyed the chat. Looking forward to getting into some of the questions.
Excellent. Garrett, how about yourself?
Hi, I'm Garrett. I have been working in the Minecraft mod scene for a while, and I recently joined with Creatubbles to help make the mod that Paul just told you about. I think Minecraft is I've always thought it's a great platform for creativity and learning and such, and so I'm very happy to be a part of the education scene like this. So yeah, that's
Excellent.
And I'm Mark. I'm a fifth grade teacher from New Jersey. Just want to say welcome everybody. Garrett and Paul, really enjoyed having you. Art is definitely not my forte, but I felt that this chat, it really moved and I really got into it. I really enjoyed just all the great ideas that were being thrown out there, and I just want to once again thank you guys for helping us lead this week's chat. It was a great time. It was a great experience. So thank you very much.
Cool.
And if you guys are ready, we're gonna get started with the hard questions.
Okay, cool.
Now it's time for you to answer all the questions. No, I'm just kidding. So we started by just throwing. Our first question was, how can Minecraft help promote global collaboration for educators? So, was there anything from anybody that sort of stood out to you that you wanted to recap and highlight for our audience?
Yeah, I guess I'll jump in first if it's okay. So one of the things that was really interesting to see is I think you guys are aware of this, but not too long ago, probably about a month and a half ago, there was a teacher in Italy called Marco Vigilini, who we actually hoped to have on the chat, but just due to time zones and travel and all sorts of stuff, he couldn't join us. But he started an initiative which basically had students in different places accessing a common server, using the mod to create a joint art gallery and upload their art to it together, which is really cool. And I guess the one comment that I'll just make is it was nice to see that some of the people who had participated in that were actually on the chat today, talking about that, sharing some of the things that their students had uploaded. I think I saw a video in there that one of them had made of the gallery.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just amazing to see how with a few things like that you start to kind of connect some dots with people in places that are literally, if I understand, going back to what I know about the event, places as far flung as like South America, East Asia, North America, Europe, all just kind of finding their way together in this common Minecraft server and building this amazing project together. I mean, that's if I think back to when I was young, inconceivable.
Right.
Absolutely.
Can't do
By
that.
the way, I still am young.
Well, I look at it as this, we have, from a historical standpoint, from an anthropological standpoint, we have museums that are dedicated to multiple areas of the world. And you've got this collaborative grouping of artifacts from various distant places around the world. And in the real world, we don't necessarily see that often. But Minecraft's power, its virtual connectivity power, really sets the bar a lot higher for people to be able to connect together and share their creations and ideas with more people around the world. And there's no fear. I think that's one of the best things about Minecraft. Q1 really stood out to me because we talked about how can Minecraft help promote global collaboration, and I'm not sure that it's really easy to answer that it can actually help. I think it naturally has within it this culture of global connectivity. When you play Minecraft on any type of minigame server that's out there, and this is the start of it, or you watch Minecraft on YouTube, you're watching it with people from around the world. It is such a global thing that it belongs in the culture of Minecraft.
And just going back to what you were saying about the the servers and the mini games, Mark Cheverton, he said some kids come on and there's generally a language barrier, so they tend to leave his server. And I think that's just one more aspect of the game. We always go back to gamer psychology. There's the kids in there who are looking to build, to create, but there's also the socializers who are going to these servers to communicate with like-minded individuals, and I think that's a very important aspect of the game, and that's something that came up in our chat tonight. That I wanted to recognize that social aspect of Minecraft. And
well, that one really ties well into question 2, but I don't want to jump the gun. Garrett, I want to know if you have any thoughts or if anything stood out to you in terms of Minecraft's ability to create this collaborative atmosphere for both educators and students.
I think it's pretty much what you said. The game itself has just kind of got that nature. The fact that you can just jump into a server and be with people from anywhere, and there's not really any barriers to it. The language barrier is one problem, but other than that, it's just a game with blocks. You can kind of it translates very well. And it's just kind of a natural environment, I think, for collaboration globally.
What you just said there kind of made me think of something, and I've been a gamer all my life. It's what I do. It's what I've been a part of my entire life. And one of my favorite games has always been, and one of the most popular games on the planet, is World of Warcraft. There's a very interesting paradigm with World of Warcraft, and what they do differently that I think Minecraft just naturally gravitates away from. They segregate. They have servers that are very dedicated to the Oceanic area. They have servers that are dedicated to the North American area. They have servers that are dedicated to Europe. So you've got this almost this intense segregation that goes on. So the language doesn't become something where it's about the language of World of Warcraft or it's about the language of the game. Yet in Minecraft, it's a little bit different because there's really none of those barriers that come into place, or very few of them in the larger, more popular environments. I just wanted to bring that point. I thought it was
and part of that is that obviously World of Warcraft is not it's all hosted by Blizzard, and Minecraft done privately. But there's also the nature, you can't really play World of Warcraft without speaking the same language as someone else. But you can play Minecraft with someone without talking to them, and it'll it'll probably work out. It might not be the easiest thing. You can.
That was actually the thing that I was wondering. I mean, when this came out, because I saw it wasn't just Mark Cheverton. I think there was one other person that was talking about language barriers.
Yes.
And I get that. And I know obviously that chat is kind of a core aspect of Minecraft. But at the same time, if you look at this initiative that's been going on, the last I checked, I think there were like 15 different countries that were participating in this initiative by Marco Vigilini. Definitely people not all who don't all speak English, and somehow it worked. So we didn't really get a chance to dig into it too much in the chat, but it is one area that I certainly want to sort of understand a little better. Is language a perceived barrier, or is it really a barrier to this in Minecraft?
I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
It's a perceived barrier. I think Minecraft does have the opportunity to overcome that perceived barrier because it is tangible. It's something that you can work with, you can manipulate, you can play with, versus most other games like World of Warcraft. They're very storyline based. Even the games that my company creates for Minecraft, they're very storyline based. So it makes it cost inefficient, cost ineffective, and almost cost prohibitive to create for every single language, at least at the very beginning. But in Minecraft, in a general world, it's open. You know, if you break a block, you're not breaking a block in English or Spanish or Japanese or whatever. You're just breaking a block and you're building. And that, I think, is what really attracts this collaborative atmosphere, is because it's artistic, because it's something you can do with the hands, and you don't actually have to use the chat feature.
Yeah, exactly.
It opens those doors.
Yeah. What was said in the chat was that someone had kids coming onto their server and getting frustrated that they couldn't, communicate very well. But I think, there's maybe a lesson there. You could say, well, try and play the game without using the chat, relying on that. There are ways you can just kind of interact with other people without directly speaking to them. And yes, it might be slightly more difficult without the chat, but I don't think it's impossible.
Yeah, Garrett, I agree with you. I mean, as a teacher and an educator, I'm constantly giving my students real life activities where they have to complete them silently, where they're not allowed to communicate, and they need to use other forms of communication, whether it's gestures or objects. And I think that is part of the beauty of Minecraft, is that there are other universal languages besides speech that children can use to communicate. And yes, it increases the difficulty, it makes it more challenging, but I also think that's part of the fun.
I love that idea, Mark. I think that idea is brilliant, because when you're forced to relinquish the communication method that you're most comfortable with, or
you're most dependent on.
Most
dependent on is right. You are really forced to think about the subject matter deeply. That is amazing.
Actually, if I could just jump in on this one, this reminds me of something that I've been thinking about the past couple of days. So we think a lot about what is creativity, because it's just sort of at the core of what it is we're trying to stimulate. And there's many, many ways you could define it. But one thing that just sort of struck me, if I look at people who I've seen, like you, Mark, who I would say are successful in sort of bringing creativity into a learning environment,
thank you.
One of the common threads is that there's some parameter that gets limited. It's basically saying, it creates, a lot of people have a misconception that the way you make someone creative is giving them lots of stuff to use. But actually, in a way, it's the opposite. It's when you say, okay, this is all you get, that you then start to have to challenge yourself to be creative. So
yes.
It's kind of an interesting sort of, I think there's a common thread there to what you just said.
This has come up time and time again when we had our chat with the Grundlers. You
Mark, my thoughts on creative versus survival.
You need limiters. Whether it's resources, whether it's time. In real life, no engineer wants unlimited funding, unlimited resources, because the project will never be done. It'll never be complete. There will always be something else to add, something else to do. And without those constraints, without those barriers, it actually stifles, I think, creativity. But when you're restricted, and Garrett brings up an excellent point. When you do it in survival mode and you're restricted, it really pushes your limits of thinking. It really forces you to be more creative. This is what I have. This is what I can use. So what can I do with it?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, listen, not to cut us short, but we're driving right into question 2. So ask the question so that people are following the conversation. The reality is, we've already answered question 2 a couple of times in the last few minutes. So Q2 was, what are the advantages and disadvantages of using Minecraft as a global collaboration tool? And I think we've covered that very, very nicely. That, you know, we have this opportunity to choose limitation. We have the opportunity to choose complete freedom. We have the opportunity to have a tool that allows people to engage together in a very artistic environment, as well as, if we want to, we can still use that non-creative or verbal environment, or written environment. So Minecraft is just absolutely expansive for that. Let's jump on to question 3, though. So Q3 was, what is the value in creating? Now, we took a little bit of a switch here. So we talked about what is the value in creating a bridge between the virtual and the physical world. And I know with the Creatubbles mod program, the goal of creating that was to give students the opportunity to showcase what they're doing outside of Minecraft within Minecraft. And there's so many different applications for connecting the virtual and the physical world in Minecraft. But tell me a little bit about what stood out to you as being impactful ways that teachers have used, whether it be the Creatubbles mod or other types of tools in the classroom. And I want to start with Garrett.
Could you go over that just a little bit more? Sorry.
Yeah, not a problem.
One of the things that just took my attention away just for a second, and I feel like I missed just a little bit of that.
Don't worry, I get that all the time. So in terms of creating this bridge between the virtual and the physical world, within the chat, what stood out to you, or are there thoughts that you have that you think are powerful for the value of doing such a thing?
Yeah, I think there's a great value in it. In fact, one of the things we're talking about maybe doing in the future is the ability to take a section of your world in the game and putting it on the site, which I think would be great, because you could share little parts of your world that you built, and maybe even share them with other people, and they can put it in their world. And instead of it just being a painting on a wall, it would be something physical that you could share. And you know, there's other instances of things being bridging that gap. A lot of people were talking about that in the chat. I'm trying to remember specific instances. Someone said they built things and then made them out of cardboard, and then like tested how they worked in the real world. And you know, the kind of bridging the game physics versus real life nicely.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh, absolutely.
So where do we see the value in that?
I guess the value is just the educational aspect of it. You know, being able to take what kids see as fun and, you know, just messing around and translating it into something that's actually meaningful and has, you know, educational impact.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of what Garrett is saying, it's really that, you know, that iterative process, you know, whether I'm first building something in Minecraft and then recreating it in the real world, or vice versa, you know, creating something in the real world as a model and then building it in Minecraft, and you know, just that process of creating and recreating again and again, and just, you know, going back to our chat with the Grundlers and design thinking. I think it's important to experience things in multiple platforms and to test those things out. I love Jim Pike's idea of building something in Minecraft and then rebuilding it with cardboard. I thought that was great. And then, all right, this is flawed in the real world. How can we redefine it in order for it to work? So yeah,
Awesome.
Just that whole iterative process.
You know, dirt doesn't float in real life.
Yeah, or trees, right? You can't punch the base of a tree out. I wish I could.
Any thoughts from you, Paul?
I think there's. Yeah, I think there's actually two things that stood out to me. The first is kind of in line, I think, with what you were just saying, Mark, which is the idea. I mean, one advantage or I think interesting aspect of combining virtual and real is the opportunity for simulation, and basically, you know, taking an idea and in the most efficient way possible, testing it out, you know, without having to necessarily build it real. So that's one thing. But then the other aspect, and this maybe touches a little bit upon sort of where we're coming with the mod, is that, for instance, when you're in the virtual world and you want to do something that's kind of reflective of the real world, just given the state of most tools that people have access to today, it's generally an approximation. But when you can literally just, without any sort of barrier, do something freehand, no approximation, but the actual real thing, and then bring that into the virtual world, you're sort of creating a seamless connection without having to sort of cut corners or compromise. And I think that's kind of an interesting one, where you're not sort of stepping in one world or the other, but you're getting the best of both worlds in a way and bringing them together.
So I'm going to piggyback off of that point because I love the way that you pointed it out of a seamless connection.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
We lost him.
That or he's really deep in thought.
Am I?
Oh, you're back.
Oh, you're back. You're back.
Oh, okay. There we go. So I wanted to piggyback off of your point because.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Internet troubles. I'm very familiar. Don't want to jinx it, but I've been doing okay so far.
Are you guys able to hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah,
You're back. Yeah.
All right. I apologize to our audience for this. But in tying on with the seamless thought is, I look at this, and I've probably completely lost my train of thought now. But I look at this as an opportunity, and I'm still getting this weirdness going on here. Anyway, I'll continue on for the viewers. I look at it as a connective process. From an engagement theory perspective, when you get people who create something in one particular environment, and then you're able to see it in a virtual environment or in another environment, it becomes more real. It becomes more personal. It's almost a double engagement, and I had the term in my head, and it's since flown away. But it basically solidifies what you've done, and it creates a deeper reality and a deeper meaning for that thing being in two different worlds. It's why in a sales process, back when I was doing sales training for people, get that brand impact. That's where you're going to get that retention, that recognition. And the same thing goes with, bridging the virtual and the real world. If you can do it in a place where you can walk through it, then it becomes more real. If you with your hands and then bring it in and
in and out.
I find sometimes a refresh can help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It might not be a bad idea.
I don't know if he can refresh as the host. I think what Garrett's trying to say is we need to synthesize and put them together. So yeah, I'm gonna move on. We kind of lost Garrett. I don't know if he can hear me or not. I'm just gonna throw out question 4 to you guys because we're starting to get close to that half-hour mark.
Yeah.
So what tools can create that bridge between the virtual environment and the physical real world? So what tools can we do in order to create this synthesis of the real and virtual worlds? Paul?
Okay, well, I mean, I feel like I'm turning a little bit into sort of a promoter on this, but obviously the ability of taking kind of real creations and representing them via our mod is one way, but then going the other way, which we didn't really get into a whole lot, is various. I'll put this under a very, very big umbrella or broad banner that I'll call print. But print could be obviously a 2D print, could be a 3D print, could be what we are sometimes talking about in a direction we're going, like a video print. But basically ways of kind of capturing it in an output that can be consumed outside of the virtual world, outside of the game, is my quick reaction. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Shapeways and Mindways was brought up. I think Mr. Isaacs brought up Bitcraft and the Little Bits. I think they're a phenomenal tool.
Yeah.
Garrett, was there anything that you wanted to add to that?
Really, I mean, I've heard of those. Yeah, being able to export I think I said this earlier, but exporting things that you've made in the game into real life is kind of that's a common thing that's popping up now. Obviously, our mod helps with that a little bit. There's things like shapeways and stuff like that that
Yeah.
let you export buildings and things and 3D print them, and yeah, those things all help bridge that gap.
And if you're on a budget, you know what? I've been enjoying papercraft, making
Right.
the paper blocks, cutting them out, and a hot glue gun.
Yeah, yeah,
It's cheap, but you know what? It's almost the same thing. I mean, you know, you prototype in Minecraft and you print out the blocks, and it takes a long time to cut them up, but it it's fun. The kids love it. Garrett, are you back?
Yes, I'm back.
All
I don't know
right.
what was going on, and I'm not sure how it's going to reflect on the actual video portion because I'm the host. But yeah, I'm not sure what's going on. I've been having wacky internet problems all day, so my apologies to the audience and my apologies to you.
Did you want to add anything to question 4 before we move on to question 5?
Um, no, I think realistically, question 4 really ties off of question 3 in terms of where's the value. The term I was looking for was double. No, I've lost it anyway. But I think it ties off nicely.
Yeah, Garrett, sorry, I know that there is a bit of a time constraint, but just this is a really interesting topic. This question 4. I wanted to this is less of a, let's say, a conclusion and more of a question in a way. I'll just throw out
Sure.
there because I think it's something that's maybe worth considering a little bit. Is I was at an event recently and talking to some people here in the area who are working on some interesting things, and one of the guys is working on a virtual reality drafting tool. And basically what it's going to replace, his idea is that architects, interior designers who traditionally work on a drafting board with a pen and paper then move to CAD where they're sort of doing modeling, which is still a bit physical because you're using the keyboard, to essentially be walking in a 3D room and with your hand in the air sort of making wall, I mean basically almost like Minecraft. I mean, putting walls and blocks and paint and basically designing the whole, like a room, a 3D room that you can kind of walk in.
Augmented reality
And
design.
oh yeah, basically yeah, exactly, augmented reality. And one of the things that just really strikes me, and I honestly don't know the answer to this, is that when you are drawing with a pencil, there's obviously like a physical act, and that has a cognitive response, and so therefore there's some type of relationship between you and the design. When you remove that physical act and you're now doing it differently, it's not that it's better or worse, but it definitely is going to be a very different cognitive response. Like the physical act of designing is different.
Yes.
And so I'm not an expert in this area by any means, but it is just a question that's been in my mind since I met that guy and was talking. It's just, so what does that do for design? Like, what does that do with how you, how you are conceiving, interpreting, interacting with the idea of creating and designing? It's just, again, it's a question. I honestly don't know the answer to it, but I think it's something we're going to start to see as more and more things shift in that direction.
There's one thing that I'll say about that question, and I'm sure a lot of people ask various types of questions like that. And one thing that I find is we have to be careful when asking those questions to not sort of hamstring ourselves into, okay, what's the pros, what's the cons necessarily, but think a little bit more outside of the box and say, okay, is this the future? And if it's the future, we're going to evolve towards it. And I think that's my first thought in a scenario like that. Yeah, we may lose some of the cognitive function, but again, we're talking in an educational component. We're talking here about bridging the virtual and the real world. And what's interesting about that is we're not talking about staying away from the real world and going all wholly into the virtual. So we still have those opportunities to, I think, in the design process, still continue to use our hands and still do things like that. So realistically, that's anybody's guess as far as I'm concerned. I don't know the research on it.
Yeah, I don't know if there is any. I mean, the closest thing I could think of is the research on handwriting versus typing. And there's definitely some studies being done that retention is far superior when you're handwriting over typing. So I don't know how that would play out with this, but as virtual reality becomes better and increases in the fact that we're going to have wearables, full body wearables, where our entire body's in virtual reality, whether it's a Minecraft or a CAD program, it would become very physical again. And as when we're drafting in CAD, it's not the writing, it's much more digital, and I think about what my students build in, say, Tinkercad, which is a very kid-friendly CAD program from Autodesk. They are losing some of that over with the drawing, but who knows where that would come? It's an interesting question, and I wonder how it affects cognition. I wonder how it affects retention, and just the connection to the work. It's interesting.
If anybody out there who's watching this this after chat, hopefully you are, wave, say hi. But if you guys are watching the chat and you have some familiarity in this area, or you know of any research that's out there, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the YouTube channel. In the comments section. We'd love to hear from you. We'd also love to hear what you think, because it's a realistic challenge that is going to come into play, especially when we're using tools like Minecraft. We have kids who are immersed in virtual worlds, and again, finding ways to maximize the impact on their cognition, on their education, is so vitally important to this entire process of using game-based learning or gamification.
This is a Google Hangouts on air. There is a Q&A section, so feel free to post your questions in the Q&A, and we'll try to get to them. I know it's kind of late in the chat, but that is a feature of Google Hangouts on air.
That's true. So listen.
Yeah.
Question 5 was very much dedicated to what other things would you like to be able to do in Minecraft. Nope, that's the student question.
Nope,
the teacher question is, how do you celebrate and display your students' Minecraft achievements and work? Realistically, I think there's a number of ways. If you guys have, I'm thinking that it's about time that we shut this down, that we close it off. We've been going since about 2 hours ago working on the chat. So for everybody's sake, who's sitting here at 10 o'clock at night and whatnot, we'll kind of close it down. What I want to know, instead of this particular question, is I want to know what your final thoughts are in terms of the value of using Minecraft as a collaborative and a bridging tool. So final thoughts from you, Paul.
I mean, first of all, I'll just say that my exposure to Minecraft is relatively new, and it only started happening because we started to notice people uploading Minecraft creations on Creatubbles, and I was kind of like, oh, what is this? And then we sort of dug into it, and relatively soon thereafter, we connected with Garrett, and all of a sudden we're on this whole path of making this mod. So I'll just say that it's a whole new world for me. What I've seen and when I've sort of jumped into it myself is it's one of these situations that's kind of rare, where you walk in and you just sort of feel like there's infinite potential, like anything is possible. Whether you're on your own and just kind of building whatever you would like, but I think more importantly, coming into a situation where you're connecting with people near you around the world, and able to create things that in a very, very abbreviated amount of time, that are incredibly complex, rich, deep, and honestly, I can't think of any other sort of situation or opportunity that is as powerful as Minecraft in that regard.
Excellent. Garrett, yourself?
Yeah, it's funny because he was describing his experience, being brought into this, and I had almost a complete opposite experience, of course, because I've played Minecraft for a long time, been involved with it forever, but never really been involved in the education side of things, and then I was brought into this project, and now I'm seeing all of this for the first time. It's kind of the exact opposite situation, and I also see what he sees. It's very, there's a lot of potential there. It's a unique opportunity with the game that you don't get too many chances like that. Am I frozen?
Nope, you're fine.
Nope.
Because it was very still. My internet was dropping out
We're
earlier.
entranced.
But yeah, you don't get too many opportunities where pretty much every kid, it seems to be interested in something, and you can actually use that. It's definitely very powerful.
Excellent. Mark?
I mean, I just think Minecraft has so many advantages to being a global collaborative tool. Um, we didn't really discuss this in the after chat. It was briefly brought up in the Twitter chat, but that it is a powerful tool in the sense that we can have both asynchronous and synchronous um, collaboration. Whether you're live in the seed world with other students or other children or whoever, other learners, let's say, collaborating, or simply, if somebody has a let's say the Creatubbles mod, you could potentially leave a sign there with some comments and feedback, so you have that asynchronous aspect as well. I think that there's a lot of potential for collaboration, and going back to the language barrier, yeah, if we were to leave each other books in chests outside of our builds, we could simply copy and paste that text into a tool like Google Translate and have these asynchronous conversations with people from all over the world. I think that'd be a pretty cool idea. So, I'm really excited to continue using Minecraft as a collaborative tool.
Excellent.
And, yeah.
All right, well, I'm going to leave it off by making a comment on something that Stephen Isaacs had said. Minecraft, what is really unique for him about it, and what's really unique, I think, for all of us in the educational community about Minecraft, is it's a language that kids know. It's a language that kids understand and they get. It transcends the barriers that we traditionally see in classrooms to allow this collaboration, to allow a bridge between the virtual. We no longer, in terms of Minecraft, have to be afraid of, it being too deep into the virtual world and not being able to access the real world, because it really bridges those together. So for those of you guys who have joined us on this chat, I want to thank you guys very much. I want to thank very specifically Paul and Garrett for joining us and hosting the chat. I want to thank Mark as well for helping out and doing everything he does with us here at Minecraft Ed. Myself as Mark's co-founder, I don't need to thank myself.
I will thank you, Garrett.
Garrett,
thank you. You have done a phenomenal job with this chat, and I really enjoy working with you. It's been we're not going anywhere.
At least that's one of us. I'm joking. Nah, it's always a pleasure.
Yes.
To have wonderful hosts on board. A couple of things before we tie it off. Number one, in 2 weeks' time, we will be transitioning from using Minecraft Ed as our hashtag to officially starting to use Minecraft Edu as our hashtag. And the reason why we're doing that is to basically close the gap, again, bridge the gap between two vibrant Minecraft education communities. So we're going to drive on to the Minecraft Edu. On that same week, which is the 28th, ISTE will be happening. And for those of you who are joining us at ISTE, there will be a Minecraft happy hour, and yes, Stephen Isaacs will be hosting along with us. Mark and I will be live here from our homes, and Stephen Isaacs will be live on site at ISTE. So make sure that you guys catch us using the hashtag MinecraftEdu on the 28th. Next week as well.
Yeah, sadly, Garrett and I will be tweeting with the not at ISTE hashtag. If you would like to see us at ISTE, contact us, and you can help us get there. A little more housekeeping. Next week's chat is Achieving Mastery in Minecraft. And that'll be hosted by just Garrett and myself. So please join us.
Yeah.
All right.
And that one we'll be talking about how do you as an educator go beyond the basics? How do you get to a stage where you become an expert like Mr. Garrett over here, who's been modding and creating in Minecraft for many, many years? So that'll be an exciting one. Anyway, listen. Final thing, I just want to say thank you again, Paul. Thank you again, Garrett, and thank you again to all of the viewers and the joiners of the Minecraft Ed chat. We'll see you next week.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
It's been great. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay.